Hello there, everybody. Figured tonight I'll be casting the Chimera versus Fallschirmjäger game on SME.
Get this.
So figured to do a little review of SME and Checkpoint, the predetermined layouts this week. Our check is a checkpoint for SME. So I figured to do a little preview and just talk about SME and Checkpoint, what we can expect, and what all will be going to this game tonight. And so this was a game between Helios versus Chimera on SME's Checkpoint. Chimera goes back way to being my nemesis after they defeated G13, GXV on Herkin Forest in the HCA Minors Championship all the way back in, I think it was spring 2022. So I have a little bit of just remembrance from that game. But anyways, this was the game here. Let's go and maximize this here. So right off the opening, putting up some Garys, but we'll just talk about the point here real quick. So Checkpoint, for those of you who haven't seen my other video, so for IR, Helios versus IR, wanted to do this one as well. But Checkpoints, we have the mid cap here, which most likely will be dominated by artillery. And so there'll be some infantry exchanges there in the mid cap, but for the most part, you're going to see just equal exchange, maybe not too much gain, because the light tanks most likely be around the hard cap as well, so they'll equal out the infantry. Then the key thing, though, is once in my other video too, I'm just talking about the importance of fragging. If one team's able to have obviously a lopside fragging ability, then they're going to gain the advantage and be able to take out those light tanks, right? So artillery is going to be falling around the midpoint. It's going to be a little bit of chaos. But then the south and the north is where the main action, I believe, will happen. So you've seen in some games, maybe in competitive play, where teams will wrap from the north very heavily and maybe get around and push and try to wrap to the south, right? Or you'll see some wild plays to the south. It's all open field down here. So really, the only opportunity you get to push down here against really good teams is off of the opening. Because after the opening is settled, the MGs are set up and the tanks are in position, right? So they'll have the ability to knock out anything that tries to push to the south here. So in this game, as you can see, we have one around the ally side. So Helios was the allies, Chimera was the axis. So we have one Gary up here, but we have a light tank here, medium tank here, recon tank here. I thought we had two light tanks, but maybe we didn't. But we have everything going, obviously, towards a point, setting up shop. But the in this case,
my ping is even worse in this server.
okay, yeah, we do have two light tanks. So there are two Stewies moving towards a point. So overhead, you just heard the rocket snipes come in, right? So as far as in competitive play, you'll see rocket snipes to get the enemy trucks down, right, off of the opening. So those are pretty cool, sailing overhead. In some games I've seen, I think 6 rockets fly over my head, so it's been pretty cool. And yeah, so just back to the point. So the north here, you have this 3-story, the mansion, or people call it 3-story, I guess, because it's only really a 3-story that matters in this point at the moment. And then, of course, you have the buildings on hard cap, and then the southern part here, which is just like the hedge, right? And so usually, at least in this case, I think we only send one truck down there. But some teams will try to send 2 trucks down there and try to really lay down the crossfire towards the midpoint. Because you got to remember, any bodies you dedicate up here will not be allocated towards the cap sector, right?
I think they voiced that box.
Check south flare.
Lux on dog.
So in this case, we have our north infantry are trying to wrap around, right? Trying to push around this way. And then down to the south, the infantry are already at the hedge line lighting up the OP. So the squad lead may have put their OP up too close to the hedge there, right? In danger of getting it wiped possibly. But we have our medium moving towards a strong cap. And we have plenty of infantry all around, right? So the opening's looking pretty good. In this case, Chimera and Helios had the benefit of Mason being our 4th point, and then Rue de Gambobil being their 4th point. And so when your 4th point is right next to the mid cap, then it just makes defense a lot easier, right? Because as long as your front line holds relatively, then the northern part up here that's where defense can sort of focus, right? And the really only way to break this point is through maybe some crazy wide flank play, and you get some Garys up over here. Same thing on our side, right? But at least the defense can concentrate in a few areas versus being spread, and if it was an offset point, right?
Check flare.
Check flare, guys. Check flare.
Has the full on M.
Okay, so right now, Chimera is still capping. Oh, no. They're losing the cap. They're losing the cap. Okay, so it looks like I always look at the map. I think I've mastered the skill of map looking and driving at the same time.
No presence on the north side. They're all in south.
So Widow just called out that, hey, they don't have any presence on the north side. They focus south. So that means our infantry up here are going to be able to wrap around in these building complexes up here to the north of checkpoint and start getting crossfire into the back of checkpoint, right? Now, the tanks from Chimera's side are going to be exposed to rockets from the back from our side now as well, right? And so Chimera may, though, obviously, try to get a counter wrap around from the south, right? So you'll see like a hook up to the top over here, and then potentially a hook down to the south going to the east, right? Potentially. If the team is able to win those key frags over down there.
RP to my fucking frame rate right now.
Recon tank on
Assault
M.
2 has wiped both south.
Okay, so Assault 2, proxy there, calls out that south has just wiped a couple OPs. And so remember, before the mid cap is even capped, you're not going to be able to put down a Gary here, right? And so those squad leads are forced to bounce back to Rue de Gambobil in order to, they have to reset essentially, right? And so OP presence looks fantastic, right? OP down here to the south looks fantastic. And so once the south has cleared those hedges down south of checkpoint,
Nice.
then they will be able to relegate them to this open field back here, and it'll be much easier for them to cover, right? And so once this area is secure, then those extra bodies can move up north towards the circle, and they can help out the point essentially, right? So very good distribution of forces there.
Yeah, true.
Enemy Lux major light vehicle mark.
Yeah, so here I'm just slightly out of range for the supplies for the Gary, and so I just got to reallocate myself here. Little commander mistake there, even though I've commanded a lot of games. Still make those classic mistakes.
Enemy Lux is dead.
Okay, so I find a little Gary spot there to put up right there. East is a classic Gary spot in SME. So this little cubby here, because once again with Garys, you want to maximize the grid space, right? And then we have our supply truck coming around on this side, scooting up here through, I forgot what this point's name is. Escapes my mind. Route de Helios, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So on the north-hand side, supply truck's coming around. The strong cap is clearly in our control here. Well, maybe not clearly. We still have an OPS out on point, right? But the north looks to be in our control. We've gotten to our side of the road. But they can potentially sneak back around, right? Through wrapping around even further north. Mike's squad is already farther to the west. And so they're potentially in position to get a good flanking OP on the northern road there. So these hedges right here are very few. There are very few spots for good Garys amongst these hedges because you're on one side of the hedge, right, and so everything else is exposed. So most likely, I mean, it can be spotted by our team pretty easily once they get across the hedge.
Likely
recon tank Roger Mark North.
Okay, so the cap is about 75% in our favor right now. And we're looking good all around, right? And now the goal will be to just force them out of this gully back here on the west side of checkpoint. And just have Artie just slowly start shifting back and push them farther and farther down this trench. Because this is open field here near the glider is open field. We have a hedge line here. But their tanks are going to be slowly relegated back to sticking behind these hedges. And so now that south is clear, part of checkpoint, like I said before, the bodies can shift north and they can push them out of this ditch here. And then we just need to think about and then moving bodies up north to help push them out of 3-story if they're in there. So that building right up there, right? And because that building has great crossfire from many different angles on it. And you can see a lot from there.
By the way, yourselves, let us know when the heavy spawns. We are aware.
Garrison exact on M?
Okay, so Mike Squad just called out they spotted Gary down here. So if this week's point layout for Khmer versus Fallschirmjäger out of China is a checkpoint here. And so this most likely may be the point layout for tonight. And common Gary spot will be in this little cubby up here. There's like a little 2-story, not outhouse, but like a little stone building there. And a little courtyard they can be in. So that'll be a Gary spot most likely. All right, guys, let's get these Garys up. Let's get these Garys up. Just calling out to the team to get the Garys up, everything here. Okay, so we move on forward. So the point has been capped here. Driving along, going up to the point, drop a couple supply boxes. It's very rare I get this close to the mid-cap with the supply truck as a commander. But in this case, I have a building in front of me to protect from decent amount of line of sight there. So it should be relatively okay. And then to the north, we already got the Gary here. So you'll want to get the Gary up in the building complex up to the north. And you'll want to shove one to the east of the strong cap a little bit. Got to be careful about the Maison du Creek Gary. You want to make sure you have 200 meters in between that one. And then to the south, you'll plant a Gary along that hedgerow right there. So those will be your 3 Gary spots off the opening. Okay, so supply trucks going down there. Just call out to the team that those are down. We still have 2 tanks inside the point. So the tanks on checkpoint can hide behind the buildings, right? And they can protect themselves from the line of sight from the enemy tanks. Okay? So they can count as strong cap weight while not dying, unless they die to like anti-tank infantry or something like that, right? Because if the medium tries to peek from the Axis side, our medium from the ally side will be able to spot. Okay, so Khmer has, they're still holding the line pretty well here. They've allowed a recon squad to hold or break in a little bit to the north side. Very good, very good. Okay, but the line is looking really, really good here. So we have the hedge, obviously, control and drop his supplies down there. Because once again, you see the Gary going up here, the Gary will go up down here, and the Gary will go up here. And so that'll put us at 7, 8. We're actually at 8 Garys right now. And so in this case, whenever you're at max Garys, you just think about, okay, what the next Gary will I want to dismantle if I need to, right? So in this case, we can get rid of this Gary up here. Not really useful to us at the moment. We can always rebuild it later if we need to. The only thing we would need that Gary for at the moment would be to reflank SME up here. Okay, so we're moving on. The front line is really shifting up nicely here. So we see the gully is pretty much in our control, and Artie's been shifted back a little bit, right, to push them out of here, because it's a nice, pretty much condensed route. So if you're able to push them down into that little gully or ditch, whatever you want to call it, right? You can force them back there, and it'll deny them that that pushing ability. And so the northern part can shove on forward. We can allocate bodies to the north, right? Because Artie is essentially replacing infantry we would need in that area. And so, yeah.
Shift W, shift W.
Yeah, so we're calling for the shift W. We're winning the fragging game right now. To the south, everything's looking good down there. So the north, once again, is looking really, really good. We have a Gary already back here with Roger OP. Roger's heading down here as well.
Remember, M garrison is exact, 100%.
Hey, can we clean those peg markers at southern?
Okay, still progressing in the line. Still some Khmer presence down here. They still have the south. There's still presence in the south and the E7 and E8 grid, right? But the north, once again, still looking really good. So we'll skip ahead here a little bit. I'm just going back, doing my commander thing, refilling supplies. Just taking one for the team and driving around the supply truck. It's nice. Let's get that area to the south, guys. Map simulator. For those of you Hearts of Iron fans out there, this would be your bread and butter. Okay, so we see north has broken through now. They're in the D7 grid line, right? And then to the south, this is still sort of a stalemate, but now we're going to see a wrap, right? Now we're going to see the beauty of the wrap because this complex up here is now going to be under threat. Okay, so we'll skip ahead.
Yeah, we're trying.
We also have the light tank, the Stewie, making rounds in the back line, doing their thing. And in the back line, we also have Roger OP going up. So Roger made a smart play here because I'm rooted Gambleville. What's Khmer need to do on their defense, right? They'll probably have border or corner Garys because look at these hedge lines. So they want to maximize the 200 meter square distance. So Roger spotted a Gary on attack mark right along that hedge line. And so he'll put his OP up there. And next Gary should be right around here-ish. And then one probably down to the south. So recon going to go up here. North is making a great breakthrough. North has made a great breakthrough. The light tank is still alive. Khmer's Axis AT play is maybe not that disciplined in this game. So the light tank is pushing on through here, doing their thing. Mid is actually getting some progress. The SLs have flexed from the north here. They've flanked up and they're moving south. And they're getting crossfire on these guys trying to push the gully. And we're really squishing them in here in the ditch. Copy. Okay, so now we skipped ahead a little bit here, but now we see the light tank is still alive. Oh my gosh, it's still alive. And then we have a couple squads that have been set up shop here in the middle. We have a counter flank OP to get the rest of the Khmer infantry out of this ditch here. And now whatever's down to the south is really going to start feeling the crossfire pressure. So any tanks down here or anything, they're going to start to get pushed back more and more. And plus, they're going to start to get rockets. Rockets going at them. The light tank, the Stewie still doing their thing down here, still moving around, still having the time of their life. I see. Yeah, there was a Puma back here annoying me when I was in the supply truck. Puma destroys the supply truck, ruins the commander's funmobile. Team need a T-spawn on G8, please. We have.
One of them's a tiger, one of them's a tiger.
Okay, so I'll just skip past that Puma. We're making excellent ground front line. The Puma in the back line is really not going to do anything until the heavy tries to get into their tank. Maybe they'll get behind him.
Coming off JP.
Tiger golf mark backing up.
Okay, so here we see the mid has really shifted up here. Now, I don't know what happened north. We did have somebody's north, but maybe Khmer started to counterattack a little bit. Oh, okay, I see. They moved. We can give up north. You have to remember a key thing in this game for commanders and squad leads and teams in general is to understand when you can give up ground, what ground you have to give, right? And in case you have to take advantage of opportunity. So light tank went down back there, but we do have SL spawning in the back line. So these guys will move back here and set up shop and get some counterflank play on their point.
Mark is the Tiger, easy light vehicle is the P4.
and one other squad member coming up there to help you.
Copy Zen.
Hey, we need more OPs
City,
on
there's
the
a
north
guy
side.
in the hedge right next to you. Right to your left, behind you. Next to the bridge, the right side of the bridge. He's in that bush. Right in front of you. Right on that bush to next to you.
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm looking. Oh, he's right here. Okay, I got him.
Hey, what's going up on north?
Wick's desperately trying to call out something to
There's
Force City right
Reflank
there.
their SME. Defense focus north side of checkpoint.
Too funny. Okay, so Widow's calling out the defensive focus north side of checkpoint, while the rest of the infantry essentially push west here. We have the medium pushing up. Now remember, this is still the opening medium, right? And then we have the Stewie pushing up as well. We have a counterflank OP back here. The Gary went down back here, but that's fine. It was a good distraction. But the line has really shifted up nicely west of checkpoint, and now we have gained control or pushed them out of these key areas, right? And so now Chimera is forced to push a little bit across open field in more concentrated
Help them
areas.
on the north side of checkpoint as well.
North.
Yeah, I'm focusing my MG there.
Now, if there's one probably a bugaboo here is that the north side of checkpoint's very exposed. And so Chimera could have slipped something through here, right? And a couple SLs, and they could really punch back the north side of checkpoint. Because remember, you can get through all these buildings and everything, right? And then suddenly you're almost in the point. You can control the 3-story right here, right? So we do have Able Squad up there by church. And so if you ever find yourself playing checkpoint, just always try to have some type of counter flank play from the north
That
here,
seems to be
right?
that's the concern.
Yeah, we just got to fill that gap. Make sure the offense can just push this straight into front. We just got to keep some backline presence there. Yeah, so I warned them that, hey, we need some backline presence. We need some OP to the east, right? Because some squad lead could also sneak all around there and get up in this ditch here and rush the point. So we have to keep some type of OP there as radar, so at least we have something. We do have the reflank area from Maison du Creek. We do have a heavy coming up, so I'm not worried at the moment, but you know, it's more of a just in case.
Here, where I'm standing, golf.
No. Yeah, so King Squad asked to say if we need a Gary right there, right? I'm like, don't worry about it. We're not going to dismantle this one and move it up there. It's fine. Worry about that. There's just backup supplies, just for later. So here we have Northern's controls good again. Able Squad's going to try to get a Gary up, right? Or, well, they put a place Gary marker. So this Gary will go up, and then we'll potentially get a Gary down here. So we'll skip ahead here. So we have a nice, beautiful, solid line forming west of checkpoint. We have a H squad OP in that gap. We have a good coverage up here. Now, remember before it was pretty open, but now it's kind of closed in, right? And then down here, Chimera potentially could have gotten something in F8. As an open sort of, given the map layout, we have a Gary all the way down here because this is all kind of open field. Once again, make sure you understand the terrain when you're playing these games. But yeah, so the Gary down here is coverage. Gary is missed on. Okay, we'll skip on ahead here.
2 rounds coming in on Nest. Let him know.
Okay, I'm gonna dismantle one of these backline Garys. Just open up that front door.
Enemy Tiger, George Mark. Ryan, you got people back there on your K mark?
Okay,
yeah.
The OP.
Okay, so we'll skip ahead here a little bit.
Like maybe one squad.
Just doing the commander things, dismantling Garys. So in this next map pick here, oof, man, zooming in and out like crazy. Frontline has completely wiped Chimera off of our cap sector zone, right? So nothing in E7, E8, F7, F8. And so we can really shove as many bodies forward as we possibly can. And so we have northwest control here. We have control here. We're pushing front door now and getting into the southern hedges right there. So everything's looking pretty good.
Close to me, stuff. Yeah.
And we have some counter spawns. What was I doing?
Your buildings.
I don't know why I was doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I didn't mean to take out the binoculars for that. But here we're responding to the northern pressure because remember, like I said before, Chimera could sneak some SLs to the north and really shove themselves into the point because in theory the front line should have a nice security net where they can catch anybody leaking through.
Something just drove by the whammo.
1-0.
I got shot off of it.
Okay, so the tanks have shifted up to the southern hedges here. right? We have another 76 rolling up, and then everything's looking good. Everything's looking really good.
Enemy.
Pushing on forward to Rue.
Skill buff on it.
Boys.
Okay, so we have more. We still have our security net up here, looking okay. Chimera's trying to get to the north and wrap right a little bit, so that's fine. They're way out of sector, so not too concerned about that.
Guess you advise for tanks.
Driving the supply truck along.
Did you say
We
there's
have
an
2
airhead?
minutes.
Did you say there's an
No.
airhead back there?
No. It's ammo where they're gonna
Oh, ammo, okay.
for tank kills.
Okay, so then what else do we have here? No, I think it's pretty much good. Front line still stabilized, pushing up.
Check your maps.
Recon goes up, shows Chimera is very concentrated around the point, right?
Hey, we need to get a breakthrough in the north.
Chimera's still holding the north, though. I mean, like Hazan, the squad lead just called out, right? They're pushing us back in the north a little bit. So we've lost that cubby hole right there. And so we got to get that back to really complete this push.
We have
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
radar network, guys.
I'm responding.
City's on
to
Gary.
How did I get killed here?
Garrison on points destroyed.
Nice, good shit.
Your tank coming in.
Oh, I think I just redeployed.
We're coming for the.
Can you get on that?
Guys,
Okay, so now skip moving ahead. The Gary on point is lit up because once again they snuck by, right? Somewhere from the north, maybe they wrapped around east of west of Maison and gotten through this gap, right?
checkpoint locked.
So
Checkpoint
Eyes
lost.
are that way.
We're
We're
good.
waiting for it to.
Gary and
go.
checkpoint goes
What kind
down.
of tank is
Not
that?
too concerned. I mean, when you're losing a point, you shouldn't be too concerned as long as you have a good OP and Gary network around. Because the idea is that once you, if you start getting cap pressure on your point, then you just push, or you just spawn in all around the point, right, and push them out. Because remember, the enemy, if they have a Gary, then you can lock it within 100 meters of being in it. And then when it comes to OPs, right, they only can spawn 6 people on those. So, yeah, it's kind of limited. But the route push on Rue to Gamboville is looking really good. If we needed to call more bodies back, we could. We have this spawn point, this spawn point, this spawn point, Jig and King Squad, right? So we got plenty of spawn points around to stop any major push.
I don't think it's
Was it
going to.
P4?
Infidel.
It's gonna be close to the gap.
So
I think
here we have our heavies moving up the yellow road here. So they're going to most likely get in position to push on the point, right?
There's one shot on it.
And then to the south, we have good control of the hedges. So the tanks have lost a lot of peaking power from Rue for these tanks on the yellow road. We have infantry inside the circle causing chaos. And then to the northwest, we also have infantry harassing their tanks up there, right?
Garrison destroyed on point again. Subs dismantled on point again.
Okay, so the Gary's being called out as being dismantled, destroyed, right?
Now we're coming back. We're just running up to the north. They're north again.
He's stationary. He's not moving.
We can come up to double tap him if you give us like 2 minutes.
Team, Roger needs 2 supports for red zone.
South flare, tank spotted. South flare, tank
Okay, so a
spotted.
few minutes later, I drop supplies on checkpoints just as a backup, right? Chimera's still trying to sneak around from the north. That's really their only option at this point. They can hide in those building complexes a lot easier, right? And that's good. That would be their main launch point into checkpoint here. To the south, everything's looking okay, right? For the most part. I mean, there's some open fields down here that we're not going to be able to push through.
They're running
but
north right now.
the bomber going on the west side of point, I think, got maybe 2 kills.
Or they burned ours.
Okay, and then so I think the heavy went down on point. We have another heavy coming up here.
Anything back there, Zan?
Zan is back here looking around, and once again, Chimera is sneaking around. They must have an OP or something in F5 or 6. I mean, there's very few spots in the east side of checkpoint where they're going to be able to have something, right? So that's where you just got to
I found
be.
an AT guy that tried to kill the tank.
Yeah, they're sneaking AT guys in the back line. Yep.
Got him. Good job.
You got the OP there with a grenade.
We got this.
Okay, so this is another for Rue de Gamboville. If the point is tonight, we can expect to see a Gary down here in the building complex. Very common spot. There's a nice big cattle barn down there. Bunch of buildings, so you can nestle that little Gary, that little Gary inside of that building. So it's nice and safe, and that'll give you enough room for having a Gary run the strong cap as well.
76 in hard cap right now, guys.
Yeah, front door OPs need to be filled right now.
Team, let's make sure we fill all. Okay, so let's move on here.
Yep, my OP's dead.
I'm just going inside a checkpoint to see the point at 1-1.
And send this defense guy to my squad Baker.
On the other side of the hedge now.
I need one infantry flexing to Baker right now.
Copy
On the way.
My OP.
Lion straight east on
Toxic
Yellow
on the
Road.
way.
So 1 flexing to Baker. Why do I not see Baker on the map?
That's where they'll.
Okay, Baker's up here. Okay. But yeah, so we want to get a Gary up here in this building complex here, so it'll give us another launch Gary. But the thing is, on this attack here, we just are relying on OPs. We don't really have a launch Gary at the moment, right? So we don't want to go too far all in on the point without a launch Gary, because that could be dangerous. Because if those OPs get wiped, right, then what's the rest of the team going to spawn on?
That.
Anything you can do to help them out?
I'll spawn them OP behind them. They won't see it.
We have no garrisons anywhere near there, so I'm gonna run a long way.
Hey, I need all defense except for Toxic, who's flexing
Okay, so here
on these OP.
we have, once again, sneaking around. So with checkpoint, it's a lot easy. It's very easy for the team to set up shop in SME and east of SME and to move south from there and to try to get presence, right? And somewhere near northeast of checkpoint. So they'll be able to slip bodies through this area and on these hedges. As long as you lay low, you're not going to get spotted, really. But as these Chimera players are going to try to do that. But the push on Rue is looking really good.
Switch back.
All right, thank you, Sam.
They have a tank rolling up west of Rue.
Okay, so in this case, the push on Rue is looking really, really good, right? So once again, everything's cleared out of checkpoint from this spot. And then infantry is just dealing with the nuisances in the back line, right? And looks like we're looking good here.
SCG near my body.
Gary, did you want to hit?
Yeah,
Tank behind you. On south.
Lion, let me know what you find.
Yeah, I know you're solo over there behind.
Skipping on ahead. I do have a launch Gary right there. Did I put that one up? If I put that one up or not?
Died over there.
It's a tiger.
I did put that one up, yeah. Terrible, don't judge me on this Gary spot, but terrible Gary spot to put something down in right there, open field and stuff. But I figured, you know what, it's a launch Gary. Most likely will be temporary just to help bolster this attack real quick.
We got it.
I got the.
People to fill Rogers.
So in this case, we do have a big gap here northwest of checkpoint. This cubby potentially, and then all along here, essentially they could have set up something, a launch Gary ready to go in case they were able to counterattack at Rue de Gambaville.
Jig helmets.
He cleared it. Thanks.
All right, defense 2. Okay, so we're at 50% cap now. This is where we kind of call the all-in.
Get on the attack.
Copy. Redeploying.
Okay, so we're surrounding the point. Everything's looking really good. We have a launch Gary up there. We have a heavy down here. We have plenty of Garys on defense in case we need to fall back, right? So we just have the nuisances in the background, but that's fine. They can stay back there. We have massive, strong cap control on Rue de Gambaville.
Baker, see if you can get a mark on that tiger.
Recon's going up. Okay, so moving on. And with that, we see the cap here going up 4-1. Okay, so checkpoint. Whatever happens back there happens, right? Moving on to Rue de Gambaville. We have the heavies in position. Fantastic ground has already been gained to the west here.
Guys, we have to clear out the.
The MG.
They're behind Rue.
We need to spawn at the attack here.
Okay, so the team has really pushed up here to the west side along the hedges, really pushing the front door back. The tanks are in excellent control. We do have some bodies in the back line here, but that's fine.
Infidel, good shot. Good
Check the flare.
That was
Big push
dude.
north
I
of
didn't even
Gambo.
see it.
They're still behind. They're on my body. Someone can ping.
Okay, so Chimera is still sneaking bodies around here, right? And so that could potentially, pose a danger for us because we don't want to get too giddy on the fact that we just capped and we're up 4-1, right? Maybe there's a chance they could do a quick spawn bomb, right? And put 20 bodies right there and rush down towards the point, recap it. And then all our tanks are caught from behind.
Me in D7.
So got to be careful after you cap a point to secure the area so they can't just immediately recap it.
Enemy Luke's bigger light vehicle.
But the team responds here and wipes them all out, right? So we see a nice big response to wipe out whatever they have there, right? Front line's looking really good. Plenty of OPs, armors up there, looking really, really good there. And then to the east, I'm dropping supplies because we do have a little bit of a gap right there, right? And there's plenty of coverage for them to get a launch carry and stuff. So you got to be careful with those, letting those get by you.
Luke's ripping south. Not south. It's north. Northeast.
Got one hit on him.
2-1 hard cap.
Copy.
South of Rue seems pretty clear.
Okay, so here we see a bunch of infantry marks around the point on Rue, but it's okay. We got plenty of OPs around and stuff, and they're managing it. There's just some roughed over stragglers, and maybe they could have something to the south here as well, like a spawn point down here by the cattle barn or the cattle shed once again. And then, but we still have this Achilles heel right back here in the bottom right that they could easily set up a Gary and launch from.
Check south flare, they're attacking. Check south flare, they're pushing.
Fox, tank mark is approximate Tiger.
So flare goes up on the southeast side. Everything's looking good. But as commander, I'm always paranoid about a surprise counterattack, right? You always got to be worried about that.
I'm going to move my OP down to the south.
South.
Send them now.
Check south flare. Map in.
I'm getting shot down here. Whenever I start getting shot in the supply truck, I just run for cover as best I can and use the supply truck as a shield and start bandaging.
I hope he's hot again on hard cap.
I'll get flare D5, D6 in a second.
P is sport, I can drop a new
We
one.
just lost the Gary in CD6.
Lionheart's heading up that way.
Casa is hot.
I got that guy. We took down the garrison.
Okay, so I'm in the south here. Everything's looking good from the line, that is, but I think still do have a worry about this bottom right piece for the fourth point. So Gambleville.
The E6 Gary is satcheled.
Okay, but the heavy tanks have moved up here, looking really good. Still got to watch a little bit into the north. They could still counterattack, right? And they can really shove down towards a point. And when you think about it, since the points are so close together, they can almost do a double launch, right, into Gambleville and then switch over to checkpoint pretty quickly. So you always got to be careful of that stuff. Copy.
ACs can drop you supplies wherever you need. We need to rebuild that.
Yeah, so in this case, I'm in the very back line, so the Achilles heel, like I mentioned before. And I see the German supply truck. So squad leader or commander, not too sure. They try to sneak around and get something here in our Achilles heel. But remember, as long as we're within 100 meters, and for a person who doesn't frag well, like myself, you can lock that Gary and cause nobody to be able to spawn on it, right?
I'm dead right now.
The call, Smithers, do it.
We're getting Gary back up north.
You should go support too. We need to set up 2 garrisons in the north.
They're putting up a Gary back here.
Yeah, I'm moving north too.
Something rolling out of mid HQ.
Okay, so I just lay low. I just lay nice and low.
They didn't put a
And
Gary
just chill. Just chill. And let the team need to do. Let the team do what they need to do. And so we'll be just fine. So we're 3-2 capping.
Attacking OPs. Fill all attacking OPs.
When we have a 3-2 on cap, right, you just want to shove it in and have everybody go on the attack here, right? Why not risk it for the biscuit? We're up 4-1. What's the worst that can happen? We go down 3-2. We have plenty of Garys on checkpoint.
Hotel has room.
50%. Got to take a chance while you have a chance. Oh, almost got myself a kill that game. I don't think I had one kill this game from direct gunfight.
I killed that guy, Smithers. You should be clear.
Copy. Thank you, Zan.
Gary's back up E6.
So here I am doing my commander thing and
1-3-1 on cap now.
taking down the Gary.
All attacking OPs. Everybody on offense, please.
Okay, so that'll be it for this pretty much game here. I mean, we're about to cap, I think.
Server crash.
There we go. Yeah, so this game, we did have a server crash right before this.
You spoke too soon.
No! Jinx it. Ah!
I got in the cap sector. Don't worry, we're capping.
Yeah. So just a review. So checkpoint for tonight, what we can expect to see is the question will be how much each team dedicates to the north versus the south, I think. The mid's going to be kind of a dead giveaway as far as artillery being smashing each side, right? So I don't think we're the main, it'll be decided at mid. I think it'll be north or south, right? We'll see. And of course the opening truck snipes. So there are a lot of very good opening truck snipes for checkpoint. And so kind of curious what each side will be preparing for that. Then we have the 3-story on point we talked about, right? So on checkpoint, this northern building right here, how much that matters. And then the gully over here will be controlled by artillery. And then the gully over here will be controlled by artillery. And then to the south, the battle, the hedge line right here. Will squad leads put their OPs too close to the hedge and be easy to wipe. And then to the north, how much will, like I said before, they'll dedicate up here, maybe wrap around from the Axis side through SME. And then, of course, the opposite. How much will the Allies try to wrap around and get something maybe up here or something. So, yeah. Okay, so that's just a little review tonight of Checkpoint and what we can expect here. The game starts, and I believe 2 hours we are away from match time. So the game won't be recorded or won't be streamed tonight, but it will be streamed afterwards due to the fear of DDoS attacks. But, yeah, okay. All right, thank you for joining me tonight, everybody. And I will see you later.